Greetings everyone, and Great here for another Advanced Wars Daisy Ruin Tiny Wars replay. Spawn on top left side as the yellow beast, we got DioTheBeast. Spawn bottom right side as the green Forsythe, we got SylerSK. This was more just not bottom right, but just bottom north versus south, rather than east versus west. When it comes to this map, it is a double or triple base map, one airport. Overall, I do like Daisy Ruin a little bit better. It's a lot more interesting dynamics, and I think the balance healing is a little bit better in Daisy Ruin when it comes to the vehicle tiers. Like, tanks are a little bit more effective versus medium tanks. Medium tanks, of course, cheaper, and the war tank is still an effective ground unit, but nothing as absurd as the war tank or the mega tank. Either way, when it comes to COs, do have a standard boarding cost for the Beast. He's technically a custom CO in in Tiny Wars. 3, 30, 60, 60. In the base game, he was just a placeholder CO who had offered there was never a time where you fought against him with a power, so he's just literally like no CO. The maps are pretty nice as well, and plus I also offer a lot more terrain types, though Tiny Wars did expand upon that. The Beast is a relatively unique CO. He has a bit of a list. I'll just take a little bit so. All units get the standard plus 10, plus 10. All specialty units get plus choice offense units. Specialty units are infantry, mechs, bikes, recons, and flares. So, lighter weight raiding units, if you will. Basically, anything that's below 5,000 funds is a specialty unit. And if they end their turn in the CO zone on an opponent property, it will basically pillage that property's income immediately from your opponent, and also prevent the income for that same next turn as well. So you can steal some money from your opponent before they get it. The Beast also has both a power and superpower. Both cost 60 energy. You get the Lin effect, also known as the Sonya effect, where you get additional movement and vision, but only for specialty units, so the infantry, mechs, bikes, recons, and flares. And you still get the pillage effect, but that's now global. Or you can just go straight up raid, where now on any properties provides the known income, you get triple their cost, but it lasts for 3 turns. So you can also end your turn on your own properties to get paid forward 3 turns, and on neutral properties to just get 3 turns of income immediately. Or you put on your opponent's properties to steal your opponent's income for the next 3 turns, but get paid for it immediately. More just think raiding. Not necessarily Sammy. Sammy involves capturing. He's all about not capturing to get income. Forsythe is of course unchanged from the cartridge counterpart. Has standard boarding cost, 5 radius, no expansion, no energy, and all units provide plus 20, plus 20. No power nor superpower. So either way, let's get started. But yeah, I suppose for Sami proves infantry and mechs, which including Daisy Ruin bikes along that mix, but also does support increase in supporting recons and flares as 2 slightly heavier units. But of course, like I said before, it's not about capturing, it's all about raiding. In actuality, most people don't really go for the rating effect. They actually, especially when it comes to power and superpower, most times it seems like players go for the vision aspect, which is something similar to Lin, but only limited to certain select units. So when it comes to comparing the advanced from previous games, it's actually like a combination of Sonya and Sammy. Well, neither being fully other. So no victory march, just stealing. Of course, this map does also offer gunboats on top of the HQ, which doesn't prevent any sort of immediate HQ cap, just give a little bit of buffer there. This map does have a decent amount of properties incentives, so maybe the raid effect could be a bit more effective. I think the Beast generally is best if he loads himself into a bike. Actually, it's something that's a bit interesting. It gives a bit more play and counterplay, where you have to gamble a little bit to get the CO zone and power charged up as well. It's a bit of a trade-off overall. If there were ever a Daisy Ruin 2, what I would actually advise would be if they had both a mode where you had the old CO or the new CO zone effect. So imagine like you choose matchmaking and you want to play a game where both players get power charged through destroying units. While there's also another mode where you just simply do it in the DayZ fashion where you load up the students on the field. I could also see that just be a toggle setting for a multiplayer. So people don't have to debate between the systems, just simply toggle the setting. Who knows, maybe even custom games where one person plays one way, the other player plays another way. Just ideas. Oh, does get trapped there and shoots him because of that. Comm Tower, there's also a pair of comm towers, and of course in DayZ Ruin, comm towers are changed where they provide plus 5% offense and defense, which actually makes it a little bit weaker because the sort of nullifies each other. You know what's funny? It's, Penny's actually a top tier CO as right now in the game. She's a monster in DayZ Ruin. I'm not joking. Right now, putting her into an old, if she would be implemented a global effect, she would be absurdly powerful. She's right now an A tier to S tier CO in these Tiny Wars. And the only thing that she got a slight buff is, rather than applying +10/+10 for all units in our CO zone, it's got buff with +15/+15. A very small buff, but she's actually a top tier CO. Because probably I should mention as well, here are the weather effects. Imagine causing sandstorm for 3 turns. Your opponent has 30% less firepower globally. Not because of being CO zone, you help nullify it, but globally 30% firepower is massive. Snow, all units get -1 movement, which is quite problematic. And Rainy is particularly powerful in non-Fog of War games because it forces your opponent to play Fog of War and have horrible Fog of War. Or you play with regular normal Fog of War. It makes them completely blind. Yep. I suppose one thing as well, the global effects of the... And since it lasts for 3 turns of global effects, in a game where you don't have global effects, it's probably one of the reasons why she's such a top tier CO. Nope, probably should start focusing on the game now. Sorry about that, been a little bit distracted with talking. Do have an A-tier over here, as well as a tank and Forsythe load himself an artillery piece in a position where he can range something. Get some good kills there. Of course, Forsythe doesn't have to worry about generating CO power, so he can be loaded up in anything, be just fine. Honestly, bikes and recons are not bad assets for him as well. Artillery is an interesting choice. I haven't seen him load up into artillery all too often, but it is relatively cheap and mobile. So yeah, it's not a bad unit. Unusual, but for him, he can make it work. The Beast already has 37 energy, so it got +1 CO zone. Flare fired there. Recon rotating around. Let's see now. Can't see any no income effect. I wasn't paying close enough attention to that. I'll try to keep an eye on that a little bit more. Oh, looks like your comment got auto-modded. The word cheap got flagged. Here, I'll just approve that quickly. Cheap, mobile, and likes standing behind walls. Yep. Sorry about that. Auto-mod. I think as well with Forsythe, you don't really care if you see a unit goes down too often. It can be a bit expensive, but just load in something cheap and you get full effects. Oh, got a lot of anti-tanks down here. Anti-tanks are a little bit too slow. This map is quite large, so I don't know about that. Does scout out the infantry unit there. Takes out the battle copter of the anti-air. Very nice. It did sustain a shot thanks to the aura of the seal zone, but a 4-health infantry just finished off either way. Good picks there. Got a medium tank push down south, and it's a little train of mechs. The Beast does improve mechs' firepower by 20%, making them a decent option. Mechs are overall always quite decent, they're just very slow. That's the biggest issue. A lot of good picks there. Pick off a good number of units. Right now we got 95,000 versus 98. And the Beast has the CO power available and superpower. So we have to wait and see what he goes for. Still a lot of anti-tanks by Forsythe. He's going to play the long game. We've got medium tank infantry. So will he activate his CO power? Flare there. Okay, is you see here? You see the C rather than S. So he's popped the power, which is the vision effect. So now all of his specialty units, infantry, mechs, bikes, recons, and flares, has +2 vision range and sees through hiding. And when it comes to Tiny Wars, the vision effect is a bit more accurate than it is in, what's it called? Advanced Wars by Web. And you can see here, here's a no income effect applied globally. So now, if I were to go back one turn, go back another turn. Wait, that's forward. There we go. You can see here, Forsythe 25,000 income, 25,000 in the bank. Now it's at 24,000 and 26,000 in the bank. So you can see the bit of money stealing there. So Forsythe will not get income here next turn. And only next turn. So what is the mass AT? Well, first off, they're very, very slow and they're expensive. And infantry, bikes, and other machine gun units are quite effective versus them. The best way to counter them, don't let them get a big mass. And two, well, first off, don't get a big mass. They're very slow. You could smash the front line by the time it gets up, there's nothing left to support. And bikes are pretty cost-effective against them. Anything so what? 11,000? I always forget the exact amount of them. Yep, 11,000 there. And a bike can just go up, get about 3 points of damage onto it, and they cost 2,500. In short, infantry. You can see another Steel Fund effect there. Battlecraft gets a good strike. Tank does spot everything there, but now the medium tank's a little bit too close. Does strike one of the mechs there. Mechs are effectively counter everything, but they get countered by everything. They have the same firepower as a tank and as a battlecopter, at least in Days of Run. Medium tank, and base skip. And looks like the Beast will capture this property. Got 25,000 versus 24,000 income. Beast recon 4 gets a strike on Forsythe command artillery, takes it out there, and slows that one. Lots of quick picks there. Medium tank gets a good strike. Takes out the battlecopter as well. A clean sweep on the right flank for the Beast. He's at 110,000 in the field versus 97. Of course, it is player 1, so gotta add the day-to-day income for Forsythe. But the Beast is cleaning house on the front line, and these expensive anti-tanks are slow to the front line. They have, what, 4 movement? And they have tire movement, so they move pretty slow in planes as well. They are slower than rockets, I believe. Medium tanks, of course, are tracked units, so they move quite nicely. And they are Tire B, which is slightly different than Tire A. But for most aspects, you can just sort of treat them the same. Because like I said beforehand, you asked for the counter for Mass AT. The Beast destroyed everything because the reinforcements too slow to the front line, sort of like rockets. And now these anti-tanks, they're effective, but there's nothing left for them to support. They're good front line, but there's nothing left to support them, or for them to support. Got a rocket here. Does get a good strike on the medium tank, and the medium tank puts a good round there as well. Also, mechs, bombers, seaplanes, and battleships cream anti-tanks in 2 shots if the defensive stars don't cover them well enough. True, but bombers are bombers. They're expensive. Seaplanes are pretty rare, even after we get a free aircraft carrier. Speaking about bombers, I would have to eat crow, and there's a bomber there. Also, anti-tanks, they're slow. That's still an issue for them, as always. Overall, it feels like bikes are a good counter to them, in my opinion. Because they're more likely to connect. But of course, if you somehow connect with them, The mechs will do good work. Yeah. Flare, medium tank flare there. With the amount of Interact units there, flares would be a good combination to go along with them. And right now, just sort of keeping this distance for now. Well, seaplanes still cost 15,000 to produce, even from an aircraft carrier. That's one reason why you don't see seaplanes too often. You have to pay for the aircraft carrier and then pay for the seaplanes. Seaplanes for 15,000, they're an excellent unit for 15,000. Just the problem is, you have to usually have to get an aircraft carrier to go along with them. Oh, got a bit of no income there, bit of raiding. Just a pre-deploy one. Personally, I always want to see a Tabitha seaplane. Just CO launch one of aircraft carrier, go to the HQ to get loaded on up, and see her nuke everything in one shot. Oh yeah, artillery is not a bad option. While they do fight each other, probably relatively equal, just artillery is cheap. Takes out Beast Command tank there. Does get a strike on that mech, did 6 points of damage to it. Medium tank infantry. Right now we do have 162,000 fielded by the Beast, while Forsythe only has 128, so he's forces behind battle turn a little bit more. But he does have a good solid front line on the right side. Has an anti-tank for emergency on the left side as well. Artillery able to range the anti-tank while in the forest. Very nice. Mech does get good spotting there. And also, let's see. What does it look like? A medium tank could of course strike it for 3 points, 32 damage. And then one not on the city would be 35. So, not a cost-effective engagement there for a Vet 2 tank. Bomber does strike the tank there, and the mech takes it out. Got a command medium tank here by Forsythe. And tank recon. Tabitha seaplane, you would better one-shot everything. You only have 3 shots. True, you have to get at least a rig on the field to follow her, and maybe put a temporary airport for her as well. But that would be a very big investment. 15,000 for the seaplane, 7,500 for the CO unit, and 5,000 for a rig. Because if you're trying to do something fancy like that, you're going to need a rig. Artillery gets a good strike on the anti-tank there. A couple more good flare shots there. Forsythe has a good core of medium tanks, but of course there's a bomber. Missiles are good. Problem is, they're slow. Missiles did get buffed in Days of Ruin compared to the previous Advanced Wars, where they have 6 base range rather than 5. So provide a bit more coverage. Probably still effective versus civilian airliners, like all missile SAM sites are. Got a rig here. Rig, maybe eyeing for a temporary airport, maybe eyeing for some resupply there. Don't see anything low on ammo. Maybe trying to pull a boost some mechs. Does take out the rig there, which he looks like he already built a temporary airport somewhere. Ah, right there. He actually is using temporary airports. That's actually a pretty rarity. Because temporary airports are still pretty slow. You would imagine that's immensely a big buff for APCs in Days of Ruin, but nobody really deploys on temporary airports. It's just too slow. You have to spend, what, 3 turns getting it up? Because you have to spend 2 turns building it, then a turn to get off of it before you can actually use it. It's just pretty slow. Mech, anti-air, and medium tank. Good strike there, but he did get a little bit too close with the medium tanks. Now he could get bombed, battlecoptered, and however, he's in for the minimum range of the rockets. Rocket tank and base skip. Does hit the flare there from the mechs. Mechs counter everything, and they get countered by everything. Wait, what? He sacks his command recon there and deletes his anti-air? What? What did he just delete as well? The gunboat, okay. I understand the, what? I am not sure. Why did he delete the anti-air? Why did he sack the CO recon? I understand the gunboat to a certain degree, but he didn't need to do that either. Is he just sort of trolling a little bit? He is in a pretty good advantage. He must be pretty confident. Mech, medium tank, recon. Takes out the battlecopter there. Shakes the flare, takes out the medium tank. He was actually in range of the bomber there. I guess he didn't realize he was in range of the bomber. He only got the vision range later on. Got another missile over here. A little bit too heavy missiles, a little bit too heavy anti-tanks. Rockets a little bit too slow. I think Forsythe's building too much indirects at this moment. True, but deleting the anti-air back up here. Is he going to try to CO the, no, he CO'd the bike, of course. I don't know. Maybe just trolling around a little bit. Here it does get a good strike from the bomber, and the what's left of the missile hits the T of the Duster, which can just fall back to the temporary airport. And Forsythe's getting some good engagements over here, but the Beast still has plenty of assets over here. With a good number of mech support, and mechs this close to a lot of stuff, rare. And when they just close the distance, they can do some good work. The mech can get a good first strike on either the tank or onto the anti-air. Strikes the rocket of the tank, anti-air finishes off the battlecopter, strikes the anti-air there. Mech starts capturing the HQ. He has some units nearby to interrupt it, such as the anti-air as well as the rocket. Oh, bomber gets trapped. 2 health bomber getting trapped is not too big of a deal. It's dead either way. He drops the capture there, leaving the 3 capture progress remaining. You can follow join capture for 1 health and get the 9 health over here. A lot of good kills over here. The Beast sort of threw away this flank because he feels like he's confident enough to win the right flank. 159 versus 120. Flare finished off the rocket. Does move the mech off of the HQ to let the bike capture it up. Now with the tank and the medium tank nearby, artillery providing us a bit of extra buffer there. I think the HQ will be captured next turn. The CO tank does go down, anti-air forward among other things. Rocket, mech, anti-air. Does interrupt the capture there, put down to 5. Got a bike nearby for join capture. Anti-air did take a shot there, but he has a dust nearby as well, so the battlecopter should be wounded enough, won't be able to interrupt the capture a second time. Bomber infantry. Going captures there. Hits the medium tank of the artillery piece. Does not take out the anti-air there. Blair finishes it off though. It also strikes the battlecopter, and the 1 health anti-air does get a good strike there. Yep, I see this being captured fully next turn. Tank mech battlecopter. After that 1 health battlecopter didn't get a single point of damage. It got 9% damage. Just needed one more percent to get 1 damage there. And that was a resign, not an HQ capture. Either way, there's Angrade saying thank you for watching, and on to the next replay.